Yo, what up? I'm Tahir Moore.
And I'm Patrick Cloud.
And this is another episode of Death and Scandal. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Getting back to all of the horribleness that you guys have been missing.
Absolutely. And yo, if you are liking this right now, make sure you subscribe to our Patreon because we are giving this away for free in the month of October. However, going forth after October, this will be exclusively for our Patreons. Okay, so this is going to be some of the exclusive content that we only do for our Patreons, and everybody else. You guys are going to still get stuff on the YouTube channel. You'll get the show. You're still going to get Lunchtime Lottery and a couple other things. We still do a couple watch parties. However, this Chit Chat and Serial and the early versions of Damn Internet You Scary will only be available for our Patreon.
Yes. So sign up now.
No time about.
So today's story takes us to Utah. This was back in 2009. It's actually a very, very sad story. Now, the death in this is pretty brutal.
Right.
Although it is not murder, it is just incredibly, incredibly unfortunate. So there was a family of the Joneses. The husband was named John Edward Jones. And, you know, Jones's wife, his daughter, his parents, his 4 brothers, 2 sisters. He has 16 nieces and nephews. Just a big family, right? They were in Utah, and they decided to go cave exploring. This sucks because, you know, they just had a baby. They were expecting a second baby, and this was right before Thanksgiving. They decided to do a little cave run. I would not recommend that ever.
I don't have no reason to be in no cave. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Absolutely not. This guy's only 26 years old, but he got stuck. He got stuck in the cave in the worst way possible. This is a place called Nutty Putty Cave in Utah.
Nope, wouldn't go there anyway.
And he went with family and friends. As he went further into the cave's tunnel system, he eventually ended up getting stuck upside down in a narrow passage. Let me explain some of the details. It says Josh Jones and his brother continued through the tight passageway known as the Birth Canal to Bob's Push, and it's described by police as an 18-inch by 10-inch L-shaped pinpoint. This was around 9 p.m., so this was also when it was dark. It was him and about 11 other people. They decided to explore a different route, and they had difficulty reaching him because he got stuck in the absolutely worst spot in the cave. It was narrow, very awkward. Rescuers couldn't really get there. It was a tight spot, and the worst part was that he was stuck upside down.
The blood rushing to your head, losing the feeling in your toes, slowly feeling it. Oh man,
it's the worst. They say how long he was like that too.
I couldn't do it.
It says that. Here it goes. So it was a really tight spot. They were able to get around him, even hold his hand at one point. And they were actually able to free Jones initially using a rope pulley system. At that point, he had been hanging headfirst at a 70 or 80 degree angle for more than 8 hours. 8 hours! Oh, that just kind of gave me a little headache. But then around 4:30 p.m. the next day, rescuers got him loose. They were able to give him an IV, food, and water. He also needed a morale boost, so he was able to talk to his wife over a police radio. So for a few hours, there was relief. People thought it was over, which sucks because he talked to his wife. He probably said that everything was good. They were getting him out of there. And then they cracked open some boxes of pizza, cases of water, smiles. Basically said the worst was over. That only lasted for a few hours. It said that once he was free of the 18 by 10 inch crevice, there was an equipment failure that caused the rope system that was hoisting the man out of the cave to drop him back into the same narrow gap. He was lifted out and dropped right back. It must have been the integrity of the rock because the anchors were actually quite reliable. That's what you would want to say if that happened.
Right.
He wasn't sure how to put it together, but it was by late Wednesday night, after 24 hours of rescue attempts, it was back to square one. And it said there was more than 100 people there. People were there within an hour of receiving calls. He said that the brothers just started praying. They're a very, very Christian family. But yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work. Said there was periods of panic, disorientation, but ultimately it said that all they could do was feed an injection drip into his leg, which contained drugs to calm him down. But they knew they were unable to get him out because of the angles. So after 27 hours stuck, he died eventually from suffocation and heart failure. And he was in such shock that, there's some comments that saying they could have got him out if they like broke certain parts of his body or his leg. But he was in such shock that it was a bad idea. And if you've seen that James Franco movie, the 127 hours, where he had to like cut through his whole arm.
Oh man,
he never got over that PTSD. He had to.
Oh, the original guy.
Yeah, like he had to cut through his nerve system that looked like spaghetti.
Yeah,
and if you can imagine just touching that, what that feels like. So
cut through the sound that they made in that movie when he was cutting through it, like that, I couldn't do it. That was one movie that wasn't like a scary movie that I had to just turn my head to.
Horrifying. It was so long. It makes you realize how thick your limbs are. So if you just got this little rusty knife, it's gonna be a lot. And it's between them. They showed him going through the skin, the veins, the bones, oh God. So that was not a good idea. But unfortunately, yeah, he was killed by the cave. And that is a horrifying. I mean, this is why I try not to go anywhere, because he had people with him and 100 rescuers. That other guy, no one knew he was there.
Yeah,
which is super scary. But this dude had people with him, and he was upside down for 8+ hours. Got lifted, was like, oh, thank God, dropped back, and then died of suffocation and heart failure. That
drop back part is like that's what's really throwing me off. Like I don't want to say was that destiny, but it's like, bro, how does that happen? Like, how do you, with that many people there, like, I'm like, y'all couldn't chip at the rocks. That's what I was thinking, like, when we first talked about this. Yeah, like slowly chip at it, or like, douse him in water and oil, like
Vaseline.
Yeah, I'm just like, how does that happen that you can't get out of there at all?
Well, what's crazy is if you look at, I guess they took a photo of him, bro, it is tight. And it's like, if that was the angle, it must have been something that was like they couldn't pull him out this way.
Yeah.
And then it's like if his head was popping out, it would just be like, yo, just break whatever. But his head was there, so you yank him out the wrong way. It's even worse. So, man, rest in peace to John Jones. His widow is shown being really, really strong, saying that like, in the couple months after that happened, they were just super full of faith, and like they were just really into the church. So they are being strong, but nobody should have to go through that. That is wild. And he had another baby on the way. Don't do stuff like this, guys. Don't do stuff like this.
Oh, you said the dimensions. You was like 18 by 10. I was like, nigga, my hips.
No way.
My hips would be walking in the opposite direction while I'm trying to go towards. They'd be like, nah, fam, come on. We not built like that.
How did that happen? Did other people get through? Was he the first one? Why was this attempted?
Right, because that's what I thought. I thought they were going to mention the brother, like maybe the brother had got through first, and then, because like it said it was called Bob's Push. The canal was called, that one part of it was called Bob's Push, and then you go to a part where it's called the birth canal. And I'm thinking, like, if they call it Bob's Push because you got to push the other person through, then what happens with the second person? Like, do you pull them through? Like, how do you get them out? Like, it just doesn't sound conducive at all to do. Like, I would never do. And just, geez Louise, that is.
So here's what makes it kind of creepy.
Kind of? It's already creepy.
It's horrifying. But here's what makes it creepy. They couldn't get his body out. So, it's still there. No.
You're lying.
They had to leave it.
Until he started to decompose?
I mean, this was a minute ago, so I don't know how long it takes, but that place was closed off. And, it says that they just had to leave the body there. It was stuck.
I would imagine, like, if he's at that point, if he's dead, you could just, like, break the limbs with no problem at that point, but the body does swell too. Like once you died, your blood starts to coagulate and it gets. Oh God.
The worst. I said a couple times like they just had to leave it, and that might have just been when the article was written. I don't know. Maybe they would want to go out and slip it out, but I don't understand. Yeah. Oh yeah. Here it goes. It says his remains are still entombed there. That is a tomb. That is insane. Yep. She said her faith has sustained her. Strong family. I'm so sorry that happened to y'all. That is horrifying.
That sounds horrible.
If I could just give any advice, please do not explore caves. Underwater, all that.
If you do it, just do it in a way. Well, I couldn't say that's safe, but because I'm sure they thought that nothing's gonna happen. Nobody wakes up thinking that they're gonna get wedged in between rocks and never be able to see their family again or anything like that.
This is true.
But like those small little canals, like you see that video when people were jumping in this hidden tunnel and then going into the water
and it popped out.
Yeah, and it takes it. No.
God.
No.
If you don't pop out, there's nothing anybody can do.
Nothing. Because erosion, right? Erosion, this water's running through here for all of these years, hundreds and hundreds of years, and all it takes is one different push of pressure on one rock, and now this new canal is open. Now you go through here, but there's no opening there.
I didn't think about that.
You know what I'm saying? If this is the tunnel, and this water's been going through here for all of these years, and erosion is taking effect, and then you accidentally hit this wall, and now it crumbles, and then you're there, and it's just filling up with water.
And it's underwater. You're done.
Oh my God.
That's why I hate those videos of people swimming in underwater caves, which is like what we saw, but except just filled with water, and there's all these parts where they kind of squeeze through in the water, and it's yo, you guys are next level.
I'm not trying to live life like that, playboy.
Oh no.
I will pass on that one every opportunity that
just
arises.
Hike. Just find a man-made trail that has been tested and hike. See the scenes like that. If there is something in nature that you have to slip through dangerous rocks or swim in an underwater tunnel, it's for fish, it's for animals, it's for bugs. It's not for us. I think it should be okay for us to not be on full explorer mode all the time, trying to see everything. Just take the National Geographic's word for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. It's been another episode of Death and Scandal. Thank you guys so much for watching. Every week we would have a new crazy story for you like this, or we have a guest on with a crazy story. We got some really great guests lined up for you guys, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching. I've been Tahir Moore.
I'm Patrick Cloud.
We'll see you next time on Death and Scandal. Peace.
Later.
Cool. We can keep it rolling. Just roll right into the next one.
Okay. You still rolling?
Yeah, we're still rolling.
All right. All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Tahir Moore.
I'm Patrick Cloud.
And this is another episode of Death and Scandal. What we got this week, Pat?
This week is pretty insane because I believe it 100%. Now, not only is this a murder, this is a conspiracy for the books. Ooh. This is the mysterious death of Stanley Meyer and his water-powered car. Obviously the automotive industry is gigantic. Mm-hmm. I think even back in the day, we did a conspiracy corner centered around the first electric cars. Mm-hmm. But yes, this is Stanley Meyer. This is a dude who invented something that could promise a revolution in the automotive industry.
Right.
This was an electric water fuel car that divided any kind of water, including salt water, into its fundamental elements of hydrogen and oxygen by utilizing a process far simpler than the electrolysis method. I don't know what that
Which
means.
I would imagine to be the electric car.
He did it better, right? There was a lot of skepticism on a car that runs on water, but he was able to patent his invention under Section 101 of the Subject Matter Eligibility Index, meaning he proved to a patent review board that his invention worked reliably. So he actually got it through. So there was a car that ran on straight up water. This was a result of 20 years of research and dedication. And he claimed it was capable of even converting tap water into enough hydrogen fuel to drive his car from one end of the country to the other. This would be amazing.
It would be a game changer.
Right?
But you got to think about all the people that would be out of jobs.
All the people would be out of jobs, all the industries that would, the gas industry, the car industry. It's just, when some people have a good idea and they're like super doe-eyed, like, I'm going to help the world. And then there's a bunch of evil people that are just like,
we're going to destroy you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, he claimed that it could, like I said, cross the country with just 72 liters of tap water, which would have made gas obsolete. Shortly after creating the car, Stanley died while meeting with investors. His brother said that he ran out of the restaurant choking, looking at him, and he said, "They poisoned me." So they really were like, "You trying to go out to dinner real quick? Let's go to McDonald's or wherever." And okay, so it says this was on March 21st, 1998, not that long ago. He was having lunch at a Cracker Barrel with his brother and two potential Belgian investors. The four clinked their glasses to toast their commitment to uplifting the world, but after taking a sip of his cranberry juice, Meyer clutched his throat, sprang to his feet, and ran outside. After rushing after him, his brother Stephen found him down on his knees, vomiting. He said his last words were, "They poisoned me." This was investigated for 3 months, but it was eventually written on the coroner's report that he died of a cerebral aneurysm. It's crazy that is always the excuse when no one knows how they died. That's apparently how Bruce Lee died.
By the aneurysm?
Yeah, just like, because if you can prove that some people just die because their brain, busts a blood vessel or whatever that is, then you could pretty much cover up a lot of stuff like that. And Bruce Lee was in some shit. So, yeah, that's what he was written off as. And the brother insists he was murdered, obviously. After all, Meyer's invention posed an incalculable threat to billions of oil industry dollars and untold fortunes. So,
I wonder if they had a second autopsy done. You can always have a second autopsy done. I mean, like, bro, like, come on, man. And like, did the autopsy turn up? No poison was found to be in its bloodstream. Like, what? Like, I have so many questions when it's things like this. Like, especially now that I watched like so much Forensic Files and so much Law and Order. I'm like, man, come on, man. What was the blood workup done looking like?
I mean, it could have been anything from some type of pill that leaves the system. Yeah. Or it could have just been something that was paid off, like, say it was an aneurysm, because if you're on that level of, you're controlling the oil industry, who knows what kind of friends you have, what kind of influence you have. But if you took a sip of your drink with investors, ran outside, started violently throwing up and saying they poisoned me, something happened. It's so weird to just write it off as nothing.
Not only that, it's like the fact that we still don't have water-powered
and he made it.
And he's made it. Like, he has the patent, it's registered, everything's there. Why didn't it keep going? Like, why not? Why did the Belgians like, all right, well, you know what? We have all the schematics. Let's start production. Why did they just stop it? That's why I think it might be some truth to it, because it's like why would it be shut down if everything's there? Right. Like, even if the brother didn't know how to do it, somebody would know how to do it from the notes that he left, from the patent and all of that.
The patent already was through. You're right.
That's what I'm saying. So the fact that they didn't keep going with it makes me think that, like, it may be some truth to this. Like, the Belgians was like, Like, can you imagine the brother running outside and the Belgian sitting at the table like, what is this? And then some weird figure just comes up and just takes the glass of cranberry juice and was like, you saw nothing.
Unless it was the Belgians, you know?
Under guys as investors, but they were really like...
Yeah, like it could have been anything. And that's probably the biggest evidence that you just brought up is like, if you... That's insane, though. If you put the patent through and it was on the verge of revolutionizing and you died just from... If it was a brain aneurysm, if it was health, that they would have been like, well, I mean, his work would have revolutionized, so let's keep it going.
Let's keep it going.
The fact that he was killed out of nowhere, he said he was poisoned, and the whole thing shut down is just super weird.
It's very, very weird. But I mean, again, like you said, like we talked about on the electric car, man, like... I remember the first electric car. I feel like Honda was one of the first ones. I remember that when I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And I remember like, man, they got electric cars. And that's why I'm like, this is in 2000. When I graduated 2002. I think I remember it like in 2000. I'm like, man, we really finna have flying cars in there. I remember thinking that like by today, in 2020, that we would have flying cars. And we don't.
No. We're closer to the date that the Jetsons said that they were in than we are to when the Jetsons came out. Isn't that crazy? I just read that. We are literally closer to the futuristic date that the Jetsons was supposed to take place in than we are to when it was first created. And that is enough to be like, all right, where's the robots?
Yeah.
But then again, we do have robots. It's just not how they said.
Where's our life in space?
We're working on that too. I mean, low-key, they still have time to be right because of how quickly technology moves.
Yeah, but...
We do have robots on like, saying stuff and walking around already, so...
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get the flying cars. I've talked about this before, like, the whole flying thing, aviation, everything will be changed from that point.
I don't like the idea of a flying car.
Bro, you can fly into a goddamn apartment building.
Or another car. That'd be way worse than just a fender bender would not exist in flying cars. It would just
we would need force fields or something like that before we can handle like. Can you imagine? Look at how bad driving drunk is. Can you imagine flying drunk?
Flipping around,
bro.
Yeah. It's either not gonna happen at all, or it's gonna happen and I'm not gonna be a part of it. Like I feel like they're gonna give because they already showcased some underwater cars that can drive into the water and shoot off. So it's like. I could see it happening. I've seen jetpacks already. Like they're really rolling this stuff out. But you got to give me the version 10 plus or the version 20 plus.
I see hovering before I see flying. Obviously,
yeah.
But even with hovering, like it would take so much power. Mm-hmm. Like the jetpacks that we've seen, like they're so big. It's like when computers first came out and they took up a whole room.
And they have the arm things too.
Yeah, I saw the arm things, but it was like. How long can they actually sustain flight with what it would take to lift a person? Now imagine it lifting a car. Like how do you even fuel that?
Well, that seems more probable. Like when you think of planes and stuff, like big machinery flying. Like that's probably easier to do than a singular person safely. Because the problem with that is that if you design the cars a certain way, if you fall 10 feet. Because I don't know if we're going to be flying like way up there, but if it's just like you said, hovering and you fall, you could probably survive if the car is built right. But you by yourself, unless you got like an Iron Man suit, which I think would also kill you, that's a lot. But to your point, it's probably going to come out very bulky, and then 10 years from then, it'll probably be very clean and perfect. Yeah. But either way, there's going to be some deaths in that.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like they account for that. Like, that is collateral damage. Anytime, it's like with airplanes. If you guys do I'm so fascinated by aviation. Like they don't know to change something in planes or anything around aviation until people die.
Are you serious?
They don't know because it's like they have nothing to base it against because flight is still so new for us. Like it's like they only know to change something or improve on something when something goes terribly wrong.
So that means there's somebody out there that starts working when someone dies in a plane crash.
You know what we should have? A black box to record everything that's going on in this cockpit so we can figure out what went wrong. You know what we should have?
Never find it.
Seatbelts. Because, if something happens, turbulence or something, these motherfuckers gonna fly right up out of their seat. Uh-huh. You know what we should have? Life preservers under every seat. Because,
all those people
like this is what happened. Like, I feel aviation is a practice the same way medical science is, and that's
that
why
was all trial and error.
Yeah, and it still is, because there is like we share common similarities as humans, but none of us are the same. That's why some people, they get a cold, they're down for 3 days. Some people are down for a week. Some people are down for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Everything affects people differently. So it's the same thing with medicine. That's why they call it medical practice, or they call it malpractice, because everything is a practice. Yeah, you're practicing medical.
It's really scary too.
It really is to think about, because there are so many diseases and illnesses that take on the same symptoms, mm-hmm. right? But it might be one thing from it being this, and then another thing from it being this. Like, it's just one illness or one symptom, and you don't know. Like, they prescribe the wrong medicine, and that could kill you because the symptoms didn't present themselves. It's very scary to think about, bro.
Damn.
And the same thing with aviation, man. You don't know that until that trial and error.
But I mean, we have a long way to go for the flying car. It's just weird that the water car was here and mm-hmm. now it's not. It's just I don't get it. I don't know why. And there's Stanley Meyer. You could find out whatever you want about him, which is weird. That it's like he's very present, but
not at the same time.
Stuff was just completely cut off. And I remember there's another conspiracy corner that we did that talked about that dude who built that box that was curing like cancer and all that stuff and mm-hmm. all those diseases, and then he disappeared, and his work wasn't continued also. So it's just weird. No
money in the cure, man. No money in the cure. It's only money in the treatment, so they can keep you hooked.
It's a rough world we live in, guys. Rough world.
Woo, scary. I wouldn't even want to like I feel like if you dive too deep on this search, like certain keystrokes will alert the wrong people.
You're gonna get on the list.
Yeah. It's like if you're just doing research, cool. You looking up his family, when he was born, that type of stuff. It's like you trying to search his work to try to continue. I feel like somebody's gonna knock on your door at 2 a.m, man.
Mm-hmm. Offer you some cranberry juice.
Yeah. Jeez.
And a flute. It's like, you want some cranberry? It's like, it's 2 a.m. Well, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Man,
don't do that.
That's scary as hell to even think about. So I'm not even gonna. Yep, I'm not gonna search it. Yeah, it's been another episode of Death and Scandals. Let us know what you guys think. How do you feel about this water-powered car? Do you feel comfortable searching the information around Stanley Meyer? Is it Meyer or Meyer?
It's like Meyer.
Okay, Stanley Meyer.
Or Meyer. It's also Meyer.
Yeah, you don't know. What do you think about this story, man? And also, if you guys have any ideas or stories you want us to check out, please post them in the comments below, okay? I've been Tahir Moore.
I'm Patrick Cloud.
And we'll see you on the next episode of Death and Scandal.
Yeah.